In the top stories, police investigating fatal shooting. Venezuela's Guaido vows to challenge Maduro's Congress win, and Ghana votes in tight race between incumbent and former president. Hello and welcome to the ZIZ Midday newscast. Today is Tuesday, the 8th of December 2020. I'm Jason Davis. Nationally, the police are investigating a fatal shooting on Monday night. The details surrounding the incident are unclear, but the police have confirmed that the incident occurred in the Newtown area and the victim is male. Investigations are underway and we'll have more information as it becomes available. Plans are in the final stages for the grand opening of the 49th edition of the St. Kitts and Nevis Sugar Mass Carnival, scheduled for Friday. Unlike previous years when thousands would have gathered in the city center for the public opening of the carnival, this year the ceremony will be virtual. In a media release, Chairwoman of Carnival Shannon Hawley said that now that the virtual series of Calypso tents has come to an end with the final appearance on Saturday, they're now turning their attention to the formal opening of the celebrations. The ceremony will be shown live on ZIZ television, broadcast on radio stations, and streamed on various social media platforms. Among the artists to appear are lead singer of the New Vibes band, Mr. Mention, reggae and dancehall sensations De Jour, Infamous, and Colin Wyatt. Minister of Culture and Carnival, the Honorable Jonel Powell, and Carnival Chair Shannon Hawley are also scheduled to make brief remarks to signal the start of the annual celebrations. The Grand Carnival opening will also highlight folklore presentations from the masquerades and others. The live broadcast of the opening ceremony will begin at 7:30 p.m. Guts play a key function in reducing floods and maintaining the lush forest ecosystems of a small island. As such, Cheryl Jeffers, Conservation Officer in the Ministry of Environment and Cooperatives, made a call for the general public to protect the guts as much as possible. In a recent edition of Working for You, Ms. Jeffers spoke of the importance of guts.
The primary role of a gut is to ensure that you have that level of stabilization to avoid land slippages when and where necessary, particularly if we have heavy incidents of rainfall. And as such, I just want to use this opportunity to encourage persons, when we have our conservation officers who are speaking to you out there in terms of what you can, should and should not do in terms of the use of the gut. We want to implore you to listen to us because we are not speaking just for us, but for every citizen within the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis.
According to the National Conservation Protect Act, a gut is highlighted as an area of special concern. This means very little, if any, activity is allowed within the designated area. Guts are natural watercourses and play a pivotal role in reducing floods, Ms. Jeffers said. Ms. Jeffers added that in addition to reducing floods and contributing to food security, guts also provide cleaner air for all. The Department of Environment has undertaken initiatives to secure guts to protect life and livelihoods. One such initiative was that of the College Street gut, where work was done to reduce land degradation in that area. The focus was placed on the middle section of the gut from the bridge adjacent to the Moravian Church up to the bridge that crosses St. Peter's Road. The total length worked on was approximately 2,300 feet. We now move to news on the regional scene. The United States, the European Union, and a number of Latin American countries say they will not recognize the results of Venezuela's parliamentary election. Allies of President Nicolas Maduro won the poll, which the opposition boycotted, and where voter turnout was low. Opposition leader Juan Guaido has rejected the results and has launched a referendum to counter the vote. Al Jazeera's Lucia Newman reports.
The extremely low turnout at Sunday's legislative elections was a stinging blow for President Nicolás Maduro and a victory for Venezuela's opposition, which had called for mass abstention.
The people didn't fall for the fraud or Maduro's threats.
But now it's opposition leader Juan Guaido's turn to show that his counterattack has teeth. All this week, Venezuelans at home and abroad are being asked to participate in a mainly online consultation, a kind of referendum. It asks Venezuelans to say if they want Maduro out and new, fair and free elections, as well as stronger international action to protect Venezuela's democracy and its people from crimes against humanity. Trouble is, most don't even have regular access to internet. Their main concern is finding enough water, food, and medicine, rather than voting in a referendum that will be ignored by Maduro. The opposition is counting on millions of Venezuelan expats who've left their country, and the majority of whom oppose the Maduro government, to vote in their online consultation. But judging from what we're hearing from Venezuelan migrants here in Chile, the opposition is going to be very disappointed. Almost everyone we asked said the same thing.
To be honest, this is the first time I've ever heard of it.
Whether we vote or not, or protest, Maduro will win. It's not worth it.
True, Sunday's legislative elections were dismissed as fraudulent and invalid from Washington to Brussels.
The European Union calls on the Venezuelan authorities and leaders to prioritize the interests of the Venezuelan people and to urgently come together to start a Venezuelan-led transition process.
But Guaidó is also fighting to maintain recognition. After nearly 2 years of failing to dislodge Maduro, despite domestic protests and harsh international sanctions, many are suggesting it's time for a change of strategy and leadership, a notion Guaidó dismisses.
To say that our strategy has worn itself out is simply to say that the dictatorship was right, with its strategy of killing, murdering and censorship. And it would be recognizing that the international community cannot stand up to regimes of this type.
Still, in terms of achieving results, Guaidó's referendum, which ends next Saturday, may be as symbolic as has been his interim presidency. Lucia Newman, Al Jazeera, Santiago.
In Guyana, Roman Catholic Bishop Francis Alene is calling for the elimination of criminal penalties for homosexuals and an end to all forms of violence against members of the LGBTQ+ community. More in this report from Tamika Rodney of HGP-TV News.
During an exclusive interview with Nightly News on Monday, head of the Roman Catholic Church in Guyana, Bishop Francis Alene made it clear that even though the Catholic doctrine outlines that homosexual acts are intrinsically disordered from a humanity perspective, the existing laws that tend to marginalize them do more harm than good. He opined that many homosexual acts that are being criminalized today are in contravention from those that are moral. He alluded to another type of behavior in society which is morally or biblically wrong, but which does not warrant judicial review.
Adultery is not a crime, but different religions would uphold it as immoral. In other words, so they hold up the ideal of marriage, of commitment, and so that infidelity or promiscuity would be considered immoral. But nobody is going to be taken to court or sentenced for adultery. So this too, that we have a behavior of people that is in the law books, that if persons behave a certain way, there are laws at present that could take them to court and charge them.
The bishop articulated that respect for others does not imply approval of their lifestyles that are contrary to traditional laws. He further explained that the existing anti-sodomy laws are rarely invoked, and when they are, it is with intent to victimize members of the LGBT+ community.
We can open a whole debate about lifestyle and etc., but we start with the human person. Every human person, there's a sacred life there, and you have to honor that. And if a person, for the reasons why a person could have developed a lifestyle are numerous. If that person is struggling with it, if they, looking to find some place in life where they fit in, where they find peace, where they are productive, they're not doing anyone harm. In fact, they can be making a very positive contribution to society. we have to factor in all of that.
Bishop Alain was questioned about specific scriptures in the Bible which condemn the lifestyles of homosexuality and why the Catholic community has first taken up the mantle to lobby for the rights of the group. He responded by saying that he believes that some texts in the Bible are conveniently avoided.
Sometimes can be a bit selective in what we draw from scripture. And we sort of go back and say what the Bible says, this is an authoritative word and we may not counter it. But then the Bible also says, and this would be put before every Christian, is to love and respect. So that we don't start by judging and condemning. When we look at Christ as the pattern for us, and we who are disciples, we are trying to follow that mind of Christ.
In October of this year, Pope Francis, head of the Catholic Church in Rome, also called for the recognition of civil union laws that would provide legal protection for same-sex couples. Guyana is one of several Caribbean countries where homosexual activity is a criminal offense. The anti-homosexuality laws provide the prison sentences of up to 10 years for consensual same-sex relations. Tamika Rodney reporting for the HGP Nightly News.
The UK is set to begin its mass coronavirus vaccination program, giving the first doses of the Pfizer and BioNTech vaccine on Tuesday. The challenges of organizing its rollout are immense due to the vaccine's special storage needs and scale of distribution. The first people to get it will be the elderly and care home workers. Al Jazeera's Niv Barker reports.
Hari Shukla will be among those at the front of the queue to be vaccinated against COVID-19. The racial equality campaigner from Newcastle upon Tyne in northeast England says it's a relief.
I received a telephone call. I was very excited. I feel, that it's good, that I got the opportunity of doing that. And so I'm not nervous or anything like that. I'm looking forward to it.
Final preparations are underway ahead of the largest vaccination programme in British history. Batches of the Pfizer-BioNTech drug approved for use in the UK last week have been arriving from Pfizer's factory in Belgium. The logistical challenge is immense. The vaccine needs to be kept at around -70 degrees Celsius.
I think we've got everything we need now.
In England, 50 hospitals with facilities to store the super-chilled drug will be the first to administer it. Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland will also begin similar programmes in hospitals on Tuesday.
It's the beginning of the end of this pandemic. We're not there yet. It's so important that people keep doing the things we know we need to do, following the rules and the basics to make sure we keep this under control. But we can now see the light at the end of the tunnel.
The government's ordered 40 million doses so far. An initial 800,000 will be available in the first round of treatment this week, capable of inoculating 400,000 people with 2 injections 21 days apart. This is one of several London hospitals that will begin vaccinating this week. Because initial supplies are limited, those at the front of the line will be elderly people currently receiving treatment in hospital. Many others over the age of 80 have also been contacted to come forward and get their jabs. And care workers who look after the elderly have also been prioritised. If there are any doses left, they'll go to healthcare workers at serious risk of contracting the virus. Immunity starts to build after the first dose, but becomes fully effective a week after the second. In later phases of the rollout, boxes of the vaccine that come in packs of almost 1,000 doses will be split up, shared around the country and defrosted. The vaccine can be stored at normal fridge temperature, but only for a few days. As well as the logistical challenges, the government's also hoping to build public trust in a vaccine developed and approved at record speed.
We do not consent!
In the wake of the pandemic, conspiracy beliefs have gained ground. A sizable minority of anti-vaccination demonstrators believe the pandemic was fabricated by government, and the vaccine's designed to insert people with microchips.
I don't want to be vaccinated! I want to be free! I want to live my life!
According to researchers at Oxford University, up to a quarter of the population could be entertaining such ideas. British scientists say stringent checks have been carried out to ensure the vaccine's safety and effectiveness. The UK is setting the pace for many other countries. What happens here could be a game changer in the global campaign against coronavirus. Neve Barker, Al Jazeera, London.
And now for the weather. Present weather shows clear skies with a light breeze of 6 miles per hour from the north-northeast. The temperature today is 29 degrees Celsius or 84 degrees Fahrenheit. Seas are moderate with waves of 5 feet, and the weather forecast says to expect partly cloudy skies with a 40% or moderate chance of showers today and tonight. Sunset today will be at 5:37 p.m. and sunrise tomorrow at 6:29 a.m. And that brings us to the end of the ZIZ Midday Newscast. Join us this evening for these stories and more in detail. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Jason Davis.